Crazy districts in Illinois. Take a look at this. Look at 17 here. It does that, then it comes up here and it sneaks around there and goes all the way up here and then goes right over there like that. And look at this one, kind of goes whoop up there. It's like the stinger on a scorpion down here. Is this common for all states to do?
Well, we handed it over to a kindergarten class and let them decide.
Okay, and that's the nonpartisan group that does this
Absolutely.
For you guys?
That's our independent commission, you know. That is, yeah. I mean, look.
So because all states, to a certain extent, do this, why is what Texas doing particularly egregious in this case?
Well, here, every 10 years we do a census in this country, and right after the census, we redraw districts in every state. But what the Republicans are trying to do, and the Texas Republicans, frankly, at the behest of Donald Trump, are doing it mid-decade. That is extraordinarily rare.
That's an important point, because I think he literally called them or wrote them and said, hey, I need 5 seats.
That's an extraordinary point there, JB Pritzker. You're so brilliant. He didn't even answer for the Illinois maps. He just said, yeah, we really jack up our maps, but we only do it every decade. That was really what we have from JB Pritzker. Well, it turns out maybe the way that the Illinois maps have been drawn isn't so good after all. And I want to get to our guest who's going to explain about this lawsuit that has been filed now. Will Chamberlain joins us once again, senior counsel at the Article 3 Project. Please follow him on X at Will Chamberlain. Will, welcome back. It's good to have you.
It's good to be with you.
I am very excited to be discussing with you the fact that Illinois has now, there's a lawsuit regarding the racially gerrymandered map is the allegation in the state of Illinois. That scorpion stinger that Stephen Colbert is pointing to, that's the district I live in, so I'm particularly offended by these maps. What can you tell us about the lawsuit that has been filed?
Well, it looks like a very good nonprofit has filed it, one that's very active in terms of Republican voting rights. And here, I think the thesis is very simple. In the aftermath of Callais, basically voters are entitled to not have their districts drawn with race as a factor, period. And so the previous regime of racial majority-minority districts, those districts are now unconstitutional if they were drawn with race as a metric. And so the thesis here is pretty simple. Those Illinois districts that were drawn with race are unconstitutional, and they'll have to do a redraw that doesn't use race as a factor. Now, the end result of this does not mean a more balanced map for Illinois necessarily. Yeah. It just means that the current maps will have to be drawn, and the map drawers will have to not use race in their algorithm.
You highlighted Callais when the Supreme Court ruling came through originally, and there are so many different balls in the air when it comes to what is being juggled right now. And we've got Louisiana, you got Alabama, of course, Virginia. The Supreme Court came back and ruled against the Supreme Court came back and ruled against that 10-1 map that they drew. Can you kind of navigate for us? Is there an obvious way that this is going to shake out? Because what's going on in Illinois, what's going on in Louisiana, what's going on in Alabama, are these all the same, or is there some differences?
I mean, there are some differences in the sense that Alabama and the southern states are sort of voluntarily engaging in redistricting, which they should, in my view, because what the Supreme Court has said is that their current maps are unconstitutional. The current maps that were drawn with race as a metric, that's not allowed. This is a colorblind country, and that's sort of those districts drawn with race in mind are prohibited. So they've got to redraw their districts, and it's the blue states who are going to want to hold on to the extent because all of them are already gerrymandered into oblivion, save for Virginia. So they're going to want to hold on to their previous districts. Virginia is sort of the unique case where the state constitution was written to really prevent gerrymandering of any kind, and pretty effectively, in my view. Good for them. And the Democrats tried to amend the Constitution and didn't follow their state constitution's own requirements. So Virginia is sort of a unique case where, because of how much work went into kind of hardening their politics against gerrymandering, that the way the Democrats tried to do it just was found not to work under the Virginia state law.
So let's talk a little bit about that conversation that took place between Colbert and Pritzker, where it was a laughable joke. The Illinois map is a joke, and JB Pritzker is not even running away from it. He's not defending it. He's just saying if you do it every 10 years like you're supposed to, this is fine. That might not be the case any longer. When Texas decided to redo their maps? On what basis was Texas midterm? What was he suggesting that they weren't supposed to be doing, which we now know that it has stood up, that Illinois was okay?
I guess it's sort of, a violation of norms. Like normally we don't see mid-decade redistricting, but I don't care. Like Democrats violate norms all the time. Norms are soft.
Yeah.
And they're not the first to try it. New York tried to do a mid-decade redistricting right before that, and it got struck down by their Supreme Court. But it just indicates that there's no real teeth to this principle of no mid-decade redistricting. And ultimately, I'm not surprised that I think the way everybody should understand this is, given how different the views of how government should be run are between Democrats and Republicans now on so many fundamental issues. It's hard for any Republican to be able to go to their constituents and say, well, for the sake of being a good sport, we're going to give Democrats more seats. Like, no, we're not. And we're not going to put up with it. These people want to turn our country into a favela. We're not, and you're letting them and you're helping them do it. Why? Why would you do that? And vice versa. The Democrats, all Republicans are racist. So therefore giving them any power is untenable. So we're just inevitably going to go to a world where there are extraordinarily few Democrat seats in Republican states and vice versa.
So we're speaking with Will Chamberlain with the Article 3 Project, senior counsel there. California is another story where they've worked hard to redistrict. California has a lot of seats. Now, with the incredible mismanagement of government there, those seats are walking out of the state, voting with their feet in their U-Hauls, and they're moving to places that are a little more tenable. But they still have a big club to swing there. What has California tried to do, and is it officially going to be the case for the 2026 map?
Yeah, I mean, California has already done something pretty dramatic in terms of a massive redistricting to eliminate a number of Republican seats, and it's led to a really bizarre map with really bizarrely shaped districts. I mean, they've got, I don't know how familiar people are with California's geography, but the far northeast of the state is in a district with an area just north of San Francisco, which is a solid. If you were to drive from one end to the district to the other, you'd probably need 8 to 10 hours, something like that. And that's a single congressional district. So that's kind of the way California has done it. They've just basically said, compactness is a joke. We're not even going to try and make a compact district. And so, and to the, rural Californians who might be oriented towards Republican, we really just don't care about you. You should probably leave, actually, is what they're saying.
Yeah, they don't want you there. They go elsewhere. They're not interested. So how does this all shake out then, Will? Because the Democrats, when they can't win with the rules that are in place, they change the rules. We have heard, the chatter in Virginia about maybe we just retire the entire Supreme Court and try to reseat new people who are going to agree with us. The Democrats continue to throw up these legal challenges and throw fits on late night talk shows that are getting canceled. Are they going to win on any of these fronts in a measurable way? It feels as though the Republicans are having a good run here with the redistricting challenge.
Yeah, no, they're not going to win. Without the old interpretation of the Voting Rights Act on the books, there's really no way to fight what the Republicans are doing in terms of redistricting, because they're doing just a simple, overt partisan gerrymander, which you are allowed to do in most states. And so that's all they're doing. There's no real way to stop it. And then you combine that with the fact that when the 2030 census comes, a lot of seats are going to be moving down south, away from California, New York, and Illinois, because the population has so dramatically moved away from those northern states to the south. So I think things are going to get progressively worse for the Democrats. And I think you're going to see more freakouts, because they're going to realize that they're in very, very bad shape in terms of the political map.
Last question. The big other factor here that could happen with the census come, I guess, 2030 is the citizenship question that could be included there. Can you explain briefly what would need to be done to make sure that the people who are counted for the apportionment of congressional influence and representation are citizens of this country? How does that become the law? Is it a congressional passing that needs to happen? How does that take place, and what kind of effect will that have?
I think, honestly, I don't think you need a statute to do that. I think you can do that through executive order, although, President Trump tried to do that, but got slapped down by the court, basically on a sort of technical Administrative Procedure Act ground, but that he could fix this time around if he wanted to. And if that happens, I think it's as simple as, census takers will be forced to ask the question, are you citizens? And I mean, people can say yes, and it's not clear that the census takers will be in a position to check. So there still could be some counting of illegal aliens, but also maybe not, right? Like census takers, there might be, one of the things you might do on a stipulation is you could say, like, we will not reveal the specifics of your answer or something like that to any authorities, but we do insist that you tell the truth. And so, and that would get truthful answers on the are you a citizen question. And if that's the case, then you might actually get, again, a more equitable distribution of seats among citizens, because California gets a lot of additional electoral power from non-citizens who reside in the state at the moment, even if they can't vote in elections.
Will, is what has taken place so far with redistricting going to measurably benefit the Republicans come these midterms in this November?
Yes, it will. There's a lot of successful redistricting already that's already been done that is baked in for this fall.
All right. Well, Will, thank you for the information. We're excited about this lawsuit in Illinois. We know Missouri just had the affirmation of their newly passed fair map. So lots going on all across the country, and your expertise here is very valued. Thank you, Will, for being with us.
Thank you.
Talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.